to another episode of Halftime Adjustments. I'm your host, along with my man G Witt and Mr. J Lou. What's going on, fellas?
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, baby.
Gentlemen. I mean, I don't even know. Well, anyway, let's start this way. So here we go, fellas. The first 4 weeks of the season in the books, the first quarter of the season. You know, we talked about that in our schedule show that, you know, if we came out 2-2, then we'd be in pretty good shape. We didn't realize that 2-2 was going to look the way it did as it does. 4 weeks in a row, this team has struggled to put together two halves of football. And I mean, you just wonder, is it going to ever catch up to them and really cause them to lose some games that they shouldn't lose? You know, outscored 64-7 in the second half. Those numbers have got to change. But a win is a win. Titans pull out, and hold on, right? Against the Colts, 24-17. I mean, in a first half that looked like a dominant football team. That's 2 weeks in a row where you see what this team is capable of when they play football. And G-Wit, so good to have you back this week, man. Let's get that out the way first. We missed you last week, man. I appreciate you being here tonight, man. And so, G-Wit, give me one big takeaway after today, man, in this big victory in the AFC South over the Colts.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, again, just like last week, it's a tale of two halves, man. And that's the big takeaway. You like the win. Anytime we could get a division win, you like that. You like the way they started out. But the fact of the matter is they still, for some unknown reason, and I wish I could put a finger on it, but I really can't. They cannot do anything with the ball when they come out in the second half. It doesn't matter if they got the ball first. It doesn't matter if they get the ball second. You know that first drive in the second half is going to be a 3-and-out. And when I went back and looked at I looked at that first drive again from the second half. The problem, in all honesty, is that for some reason they decided to get predictable on that first drive.
That's right.
In the second half.
That's right.
I mean, everybody knows the first drive, the first play of the second half, you're going to run the ball. And I'm like, because the lineup they had, if they had spread it out like they did in the first half, they should have went just play action and at least, to me, go deep in the second half just to give the defense something to think about. Mm-hmm. But they didn't even come close to doing that. I will say this, though. I give props to the defense because midway through the second quarter and most of the third quarter, they gave up a lot of yards. Mm-hmm. But in the fourth quarter, I thought they did a pretty good job of getting things shut down. Danico Autry had a heck of a game. I thought Jeffrey Simmons had a whale of a game. You know it was a good game, and Mark Schlereth was talking about him the whole game. He talking about him taking on double teams and everything. Yeah. David Long, I thought, did well. It was good to see Caleb Farley out there. I don't know if he took Mitchell's spot or if it's just one of them things. But
when he was out there, Mitchell wasn't out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looked like it. But this defense really has a lot to work with. Hopefully we can get through next week with a win and get into that bye and get some of our players back, like Molden, to strengthen that secondary. Because right now, to me, that's the biggest issue. First game this season, we played well against the run.
Man, I mean,
that was the defense we've been expecting all season as far as run defense was concerned. Right. Jonathan Taylor couldn't do anything.
Couldn't do a thing.
Yeah.
J. Lou, man, first take off this dub today.
Yeah, first I'm going to give kudos to Ty Downing a little bit.
Go ahead.
We criticize his play calling a lot. I'm not going to put the second half on him as much as I think it was his execution. G-Wit brought up about the third quarter. The defense giving up so many yards because back to back, I think that's 4 weeks, they played the entire third quarter because we're, as you said, come out predictable. I think we've got to start figuring out a way to, especially if we get the ball, which most of these games, we've gotten the ball after halftime, coming out of halftime, script those just like you script the beginning, then get into the adjustments. And I don't think we're doing that. But I will give Downing, I thought this was one of his better called games. that we've seen in a long time when it comes to the creativity and getting your playmakers involved.
Yeah.
I still don't agree with the tight end, his name Swain playing more. I mean, Chig only played 13 plays. He had 4 big plays in this game.
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to get him on the field a little bit more. You got Bobby Trees involved. We saw Derrick Henry line up at fullback more than one time. Like if you go back, it was in the beginning of the game. It set up that last play. So I thought we've said it. He's a good creator of plays. He sometimes has a bad feel of the game. But I thought overall, especially that first half and when it needed in the second, they were okay. Defense, man, we've got to get Bud Dupree healthy. You saw the difference in the first quarter when he was out there and Denico Autry, this was the Denico Autry revenge game, and he was out for war with them Colts. But you saw how that frees him up when you got Bud out there, because when Bud is out there, they have to respect. You see Big Jeff getting more one-on-ones than double teams and triple teams when Bud's out there. So I thought that we did okay with the lack of depth at corners. I mean, when you look at the stats, you would expect Matt Ryan to throw for over 300 yards when you only ran as a team for 20. So, I mean, something had to give, but it was good. I mean, my guy, Big Pop-Tart, he was all over the Pop-Tart was all, I mean, that whole D-line was eating. And you like to see that. That might be the best position coach we got is the defensive line coach. Yeah. No matter what, our D-line has always been eating. But I thought that the defensive line did what they're supposed to do. The Colts, as much as everybody want to crown them as the South champions and all this, they're not a good football team. And we took advantage of a bad offensive line. And that's what you're supposed to do. Our defensive line is head to shoulders, even with the injuries we got, much better than them. And you like to see that today. And the last thing I have to say, as quiet as it's kept, and everybody, the Titan faithful who've been around forever wanted to whine and cry when we got rid of Brett Kern. Did you see my guy Stonehouse flip the field twice today?
Twice.
He kicked from the 20-yard line and put it on the other 20 twice. So again, that's a weapon in itself. And I'll say whoever made the call, because I'm not going to give Craig Otterman credit because I still don't like him as a special team coach. But whoever made the call to put Haskins as the kick returner, that's working out, because he doesn't have the speed, but he's a running back. And folks that know football know what I mean by that. He sees the hole, man, and he's not tiptoeing. So that's, as quiet as it's kept, that's been pretty good. But overall, like we said, a win is a win. You get to 2-2. It's the calendar switched to October, so we can keep our running joke going that the preseason is now over for the Titans, and we should see the real Titans stand up now.
Yeah,
right. So here's my big takeaway, gents, and y'all covered a bunch of it. But again, the Stonehouse, I can't say enough for how much of a weapon he is. He's a weapon when the commentators are talking about how big of a weapon he is.
Yes.
Right. And then the Haskins move, Jay Lou, you took my point there, but man, he almost averaged 25 yards a return every time he brings. So another opportunity to put your offense in a good starting field position. And then Bobby Trees returning punts. Another good move. Whoever decided to do that. So I don't know if I'm gonna give it to Craig either, Jay Lou, like you said, man. But but good adjustment for the team. Now, like you said, I'm gonna still blame Todd a little bit for that second half. And Deion is like, hey, he thinks it's Kelly first half down the second half, so he's not gonna get no credit. But I do say that the execution was poor. I agree. Tannehill runs into a sack.
Yes.
Right? On Daly's side. I mean, all he had to do was stay inside. Don't know why he booted outside where the defender was, right? There were some missed opportunities. A bad holding call on Burks, which that was probably one of the worst calls I've seen. Derrick Henry scores another touchdown. We might be talking about 31-3 at that point, 31-10. So that's a difference in the game, right? That's a huge difference when you down 31-10 and pretty much out of distance at that point. 3 touchdowns, that's a lot to overcome, especially when your offensive line is not blocking, like you said. I do like the fact that they got Chig more involved. I still don't understand why Hooper's not getting more opportunities. He had 1 target today, which he got a first down, and they kept saying we're gonna try to get him involved in the offense. Yeah, but he needs to be more involved. Right.
Yeah.
He needs to be more involved,
Yes.
especially now. We don't know how long Burks is going to be out. And one thing I need to talk about Downey, quit running the ball with Cody Hollis in the game. Everybody knows it's a run when Cody's in the game. Everybody knows that.
He's the
Have
best.
I not been saying that?
He's the best blocking wide receiver.
I mean, he must be. Now,
Man.
so again, guys, another week of non-adjustments in the second half. And, you know, let's talk about the defense first, because I think, Jay Lou, we've got to start talking about Midget and his inability to coach these DBs. Now, Terrence Mitchell started the game, and he looked like he did last week. In my opinion, he had some plays here and there, but out of position sometimes. They making catches on him. You see Farley comes in the game. Like I said last week, I'm not ready to give up on Farley. I believe it's the coaching, man. Eventually, you've got to take some onus as a coach. Now, I know we talked about this a lot too, J. Lou, in the secondary as far as the depth, because we all knew beyond, and me and G Witt talked about a lot, beyond the McCrary and Fulton and Farley and Molden, Byard and Hooker, you really don't have nothing. Joshua Kalu was garbage today.
Oh, yes.
Not tackle.
Right. So, J. Lou, start off on this defensive side of the ball, man.
Yeah, man. I thought after a week of practice, probably practicing with the ones, Dylan Cole looked decent. You don't want him, like, he did what you're supposed to do as a backup. I think he can get by for a game or two with us, but he's not the long-term solution. G. we just talked about injuries after the bye. I'm curious to see Monty Rice come back, because then how does he figure in that inside? But I thought Dylan Cole did a great job. Go ahead, Ed.
Now, I was going to say, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, I just think he's a better inside linebacker than outside. We saw that last week.
Yes.
He's more, he's a better in the box linebacker where he can attack the football and not be in space. That's right. Not being in space. I thought he played a well of a game.
Oh, yeah. He played a heck of a game. So I thought we played good there. And again, you like it that we didn't give up the big. Now, I'll tell you, we didn't give up the big plays to the receivers and missed tackles, but we missed. You could tell we were missing that Cruikshank this game, because the tight end Mo Alley Cox was killing us all game.
And it's the same play,
the same exact play, and that was the time where you miss a Bud Dupree, because there was a few times that you saw Rashad Weaver make his move, and he's making himself out of the play or going on the ground, and Matt Ryan decided to scramble, and we just couldn't stop that. But the tight end
Matt Ryan scrambling.
Matt Ryan. The tight end was killing us. But I thought overall, man, once the defense settled down, I think they said to themselves after that first score in the third, hey, the offense is going to be like the last couple of weeks and not put up nothing. Let's go win the game. We've been talking about pursuit to the ball and tackling the ball. That's a heck of a play on that 3rd and 1 to force Jonathan Taylor to fumble. That's a heck of a play. That's a big play. That's a turning play.
And forced him out the game.
Forced him out the game with a high ankle sprain, I think. So I thought the defense, to their credit, that it started up front with that D-line. Everybody we were rotating in, even the new guy we just picked up, Mario Edwards, he played a heck of a game. I think he got credited with a forced fumble this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Just learn to fall
on the ball. Yeah, just fall on the ball.
Try to scoop it up.
Yeah, you saw Fulton fall on that one that Jonathan Taylor had.
Yeah.
And again, I can't say enough about Fulton, man. It's something about him as a corner, man. Them LSU cornerbacks, they got an attitude about him, and him and Roger, they're by far our better tackling corners. That play that Roger McCurry made on Nyheim Hines out there one-on-one. Just first of all, as much credit, I mean, as much as I want to fault Vrabel for, it starts with the head coach, the best coaching move they made against the Colts. We've always said Nyheim Hines is the Titan killer. Did you realize they matched him up with a cornerback all game long?
Excellent move.
Smart move. So that's probably the most frustrating thing about our second half woes, is we know that our coaching staff can be smart. Because that is a great call right there. But overall, man, that defense, I think the best stat of the day on the defense is 3 turnovers, Titans, 0 for the Colts getting on us. So,
that's something we preached in the offseason, that this team was going to be better. Well, they preached it, and then we followed it up. But they were going to be better in the turnover game, G-Win. So let me get this real quick, G-Win, and I'll let you go. Eddie Graves asking, why is Farley playing off coverage? So Eddie Gray. If you saw the second half of that football game, he wasn't the only one. They played off coverage a bunch. Even the linebackers were like 5 yards deep. So I just don't understand the concept there. Playing scared, playing soft.
I think the off coverage was called because you didn't have Hooker back there. Like you couldn't really play too high like they wanted to with how we do with Byard and Hooker. And I really think that's why you saw, because this was by far out of the 4 games, we didn't play man press a lot at all. And to be honest, I don't think the Colts got a receiver that scared me.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
So G Witt, let's talk about this defense, man. Give me your breakdown of what you saw today.
Well, and Jay Lou pretty much covered it all. I would say this, like he said, I thought the D line did a great job. There were times where they didn't get after Bud Dupree went out. You're exactly right. After he went out, the pressure was not as dominant as it was before that. Mm-hmm. I thought he gave it a good go, but like you said, Rashad Weaver, his problem is really, when you stop and think about it, he's really going through his rookie year, learning the game and everything. So I expect more from him later on in this month after game 8. I expect to see improvement out of him.
Yeah.
Same thing with Farley. If he plays more, I'm looking to see more improvement out of him once he gets to game 8. Because generally, even when you're going through, for them going through their second year and really just playing a full season for the first time, I think that gives them an opportunity. But David Long Jr. played a heck of a game, man. David Long Jr. played a heck of a game. He was. Joker was like, "You're not running today." And
his ticket price is going up too.
Yes. Yeah, we said that. Him and Nate Davis both. But the thing you liked about that defense, like I said, I agree with you about Cole playing on the inside. I thought that was a great move on his part because definitely helped out on the run game because he's too slow for the outside. You got to put him inside. So I think that just really. And he made good reads. I had to give him his props. He made some good reads.
He played excellent.
Better than what we've been seeing from Zach Cunningham, which is a shame. But he played good. I thought that's one thing I did like. The linebacker play I thought was pretty good. I was upset with the tight end, like you said, J. Lou, because we had no one that could cover tight ends. It really is really disappointing. I know Joshua Kalu is not a good cover on the outside, but he can't cover tight ends, man.
He cannot, and he can't tackle.
And he can't tackle. So, they're going to have to figure that one out. Theo Jackson, he was inactive. So, you was hoping like,
that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the guy if you remember, we talked about, that's the one we was thinking about was going to actually be the Crookshank for this season. But obviously he can't get on the field. I'm going to push back a little bit on the coaches. I think a lot of it, and don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing them at all, especially Midget. I was on Midget a couple of years ago. But I will say this, there's something lacking in that secondary, especially if one of the safeties are out. With Monty Hook out, I think that just leaves some wide open gaps, and these guys are really not knowing. McCreary plays great. Fulton plays great. Mitchell and Farley is 6 of one hand, six of another. You're going to get what you're going to get. But I'm really anxious to see Molden come back, D-line, Pop-Tart, the most athletic move of a D-line.
Give it up for the big guys, man.
I want to say this. If you want to see it, watch your boy on NFL Live. He will be on Big Man Ball. He will be on
Big Man Ball. You got it. You know that.
Yeah.
He will be on that. When
my man tipped it up and made the catch.
I didn't even realize he tipped it at first. I didn't realize he tipped it at first.
Yeah, he tipped it. I looked over like, oh, he caught that ball.
I was like, man, he tipped the ball.
He probably saw the little tablet after the first one, because the first tip he had, he should have picked that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a heck of a play. And we were laughing about it because they went to the end zone celebrating. Like, you're supposed to celebrate.
Yes.
And he kept that ball too. I'm like, you're supposed to keep it ball. But really, I again, like I said, Jeff Simmons, I thought Danico Autry had his best game this season. But Jeff Simmons, like you said, his price tag keeps going up with every game. It just continues to increase. Nate Davis's he's increasing.
Nate Davis played well today.
They got to pay some people, man. I really am going to struggle to see if J-Rob does what he normally does and let some people go. am going to struggle with that on this group because they're so. I mean, they're the biggest contributors, man.
Yeah,
They're the biggest contributors. I mean, you got to sign Jeffrey Simmons.
Definitely
got to. And to me, you got to sign Nate Davis because really, with the way that your boy NPF is playing right now, he's not playing bad for a rookie.
No, not at all.
And you saw in the first half, they mostly ran to their side when it came to running the ball, and Nate Davis was putting on a clinic. So J-Rob's going to pay these guys, man. He's going to pay them. Maybe they be like what you said in the text, J. Lou. Maybe they franchise Nate Davis.
Yeah.
But you got to pay David Long Jr. and they got to pay Jeffrey Simmons. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one.
Yeah. So let me get some comments in, man. Appreciate the comments and the questions that are flowing in. So Nathan says, what's going on, Nathan? He said he was late, but there's Bud back injured. Yeah, that hip, man. He re-injured his hip. We doubt he plays this week against the Commanders. We think he takes the bye week and gets next 2 weeks, get healthy and get ready for that stretch run that's coming up.
Yeah, and I think he hit it. I think he hurt it
on the fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when he got hurt. Rodney Gaddis says, "What's going on, Rodney?" He says, "Why is Tannehill still holding the ball too long?" That's a good question, man. I think it goes back to execution, like Jay Lou said, man. I don't think the receivers are outside of Bobby Trees, which he was playing a great game. Look at some of the receivers that were in there when Burks went down. Bobby Trees, Hollister, NWI is quiet today, man. He didn't even get a target, so that's kind of weird. I mean, you got to go back and look at it and see what's going on with the routes that they were running in the second half. I mean, Tannehill had time a lot of the time. He had. I mean, even if it was just 2 seconds, that was time. Right.
Nobody came open.
Right. Nobody came open. And so they got to keep working on that. And hopefully that we'll see a better. And I think that's one of the issues in the second half, fellas, is that, we're not making any adjustments. The first run play out the box in the third quarter, tight formation, dive to Derrick Henry. Come on, man. Come on. Everybody know that's coming. So you got to be
second and 14.
right. I don't know what Josh Gordon is. He wasn't active this week.
So to give y'all some rules on the NFL, if they call him up one more time, they have to put him on the 53. So you can only bring up a person off the practice squad after the third time. You have to sign them to be on your 53. So I think he was a casualty of that. But with Burke's injury,
he's going
to come up, or you got to do something different. So it'll be interesting to keep eye on the waiver wire this week when it comes to wide receivers to see how they play that.
Yeah, he comes up and maybe one of those Mitchell Adams people that we brought in goes somewhere.
Phillips play today?
He had one target. I don't know how many plays he had, but I know he had one target. I think he only had one play that he was. I
think he was on the pitch count. So, Nathan, that's that Hollister Swain package. You right every time. Swain and Hollister in the game. We know it's a run play every time. So, and one more thing I was gonna say. Let's since we still in the deep, Dylan Cole 8 tackles a day. We talked about him. Quiet as kept. I'm gonna say it real low. Quiet as kept. Rashad Weaver's got 4 sacks in 4 games.
Yes,
that's quiet. You don't really realize that he's got that. I mean, he had that strip sack. I mean, the fumble that he caught on Matt Ryan when he fumbled that second time. And so, he, even though, like you said, G. Witt, he's filling the game out. This is basically his rookie year. I believe his repertoire or his moves are not there yet either.
No,
and you see that, right? He's got a lot of bull rush, a lot of outside. He don't have a spin. He don't have a slap and rip and dip. So he's gonna have to learn that. Yeah. But I think, like you said, give him about 4 or 5 more games, and I think you'll see a better repertoire for him.
And then think about it. He's thrown into a position that a month and a half ago, he wasn't expected to be. Right. He's supposed to be the spell package for Harold Landry, where you could continue to work on that, because that's what we talked about in the offseason. And now you've got him trying to replicate that, because you heard Vrabel say it last week. Him and Big Jeff are playing too many plays just because of the depth that's not there. So you're hoping you get some of these guys back and really get them gelling when you can get them, because what you don't want to see is Weaver burn himself out and come December, he ain't got a rush to save his life.
Especially this early bye week.
Yeah.
So, fellas, let's flip it over to the other side of the ball. The offense, man, 24-3 lead in less than 2 quarters of play, right? I mean, the offense was just clicking. I mean, I said it in while we was texting back and forth. Derrick Henry is running at a level that we hadn't seen since his 2,000-yard season. I mean, he's hitting the holes hard. It almost looks like he's got an extra gear. And we talked about that in the offseason. I don't know if that's because of the sand pit. The sand pit kind of got him stronger in his legs. But man, I mean, it's a different story. And again, you got to give credit, J. Lou, to the offensive line and G. Which you got to give credit to the offensive line, man. I mean, we talk bad about him. I'm the main one, and I talk about Aaron Brewer and talk about Dennis Daly, but they actually played pretty good today, considering DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, and they got some guys over there on the Colts had a number 3 ranked defense.
Yeah,
coming into the game.
If I'm not mistaken, they were number 1 against the rush.
And so
number three against rush. Okay, yeah, and so I mean, Derrick Henry averaged 5 yards a pop.
He was averaging 7 in the first.
Yeah. And he was running with a purpose. I think a lot of it was juiced up because of who was on the sideline on the other side, Jonathan Taylor. And all he's had to hear for a year is he's washed. He's the best running back in the league, et cetera, et cetera. And Derrick Henry went out there and he was hitting the holes hard. Again, you don't know how the yardage and game changes. To your point, Ed, you said earlier, if he gets that second touchdown. Because we might have seen 200 yards put up then. Let's just be quite honest.
Because he was hype. He took his helmet off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I ain't never seen him take his helmet off in a celebration. That was the most emotion we've seen out of Henry. But the offensive line, man, phenomenal job blocking. And that goes on all sides. And again, they gave up 3 sacks. I think that one of them I won't give them because Tannehill, like I said, he ran into the sack. And then just holding the ball a little long. But I think overall, everybody was doom and gloom when a couple weeks ago when Taylor went out, and we've seen this offensive line rise to the occasion and produce. Now you want to start seeing them be able to get some. I still don't think that even though we did a little bit today, I still don't think we're utilizing the screen and short pass game enough. To me, a short pass for 4 or 5 yards is the equivalent of a run. The only difference is the pass, and everybody's not loaded up.
Stay ahead of the sticks.
Stay ahead of the sticks. So we've got to do that, especially because there was at least one play, if not 2, that I think of where we only ran a 2-man route because we had the tight ends in blocking. So you got to get it to a point where you're just going your 5 offensive linemen on the island by their own, so where you can get your playmakers involved. So I'd like to see them get the screen game going again. I don't think Hillard was in there enough with that. I think he had 4 for 18. I mean, that's not a lot in the grand scheme. And again, I think the screen game was there. And to G. Witt's point, we know that it's been proven the last couple of weeks because of how everybody respects our running game. I mean, whether how it's been or not, they respect Derrick Henry in the running game. The passes to the running backs have been there. And I know Henry dropped a few today, but I think that's where this offense can take it to the next level, especially in the second half or whatnot, is mix it up to get a lot of that short game, short screens. Bobby Trees, that's all he ran in for the Rams is some quick slants and all that. So I mean, I don't even think I've seen the glance play at all.
Well, no, they did run it. They just covered.
Okay.
They covered.
I was
they ran
because
NWI was in the game and everybody was locked up, so they couldn't throw the ball. Yeah. But G. Witt, man, I'm gonna be the one to take the heat on that. I talk bad about Dennis Daly, but he actually turned out to be pretty decent.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I think that's going to go back to something. Again, you're kind of critical on the defensive side of the ball, but the offensive line coaching is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to be impressed with what they're doing. And I would say this: it's amazing when you look at it, but the strength of the offensive line is the interior. It used to be the weakness, but now it's the strength. And I will say this, and just to take a little heat off of Todd Downing, there were some plays where Tannehill just should have audible out of them. There was just some. I mean, you go up there and you look and you're seeing basically you got 6 men blocking, they're sending 7.
Yes.
You got to audible out of that play.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. So Tannehill takes the blame on some of those plays where the execution wasn't as good because he didn't audible out of them.
That's right.
The other thing is we're going to figure out something about getting these receivers open.
Right.
Because again, as you pointed out, there were plays where Tannehill had time, but nobody broke open.
Right.
And they were playing us like that.
Mhm.
And I will tell you this, and I had a feeling it was going to happen. Basically, what they did in the second half with the receivers, they geared them, they took away the middle of the field.
Mhm.
And they took that away from Tannehill. So Tannehill had no throws across the middle at all. You can notice they all went to the outside. That's because they said, we're taking away the middle, because they figured that out on that last drive right before halftime. That's the one throw that Tannehill struggles with, is the out. So they have got to figure out a way to get people open in the middle. And really, they're going to have to figure out a way to get your boy Kyle Phillips on the field, because that's his MO.
Right.
That's his MO, getting open across the middle. So they got to figure something out as far as getting him in, because there was a couple of times that last sack that Tannehill took, really, nobody broke across the middle. Everybody went outside, and I'm like, there's no one to throw the ball to.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, he knew they were coming. If somebody breaks across the middle, he probably has a completion. He can get the ball out of there and not take the sack. But nobody went to the middle. Everybody went to the outside. And when you do that, there's nothing you can do. But overall, I would say this, like you said, the running game, I thought was on point. Derrick Henry was running the ball well. I thought, again, the offensive line run blocking wise, they did a good job. I thought they did a good job in pass protection with chipping with the tight ends. I thought that was good. Again, in the first half, you saw receivers getting open. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how severe that sprain is for Burks, because if a play works for him, it's the one play we hate for Derrick Henry. The toss sweep.
I know.
It works for him.
I know it does.
And I was like, because me and my wife, she said, that play works. I said, yeah, it works for him, not for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I said, because I didn't think he was going to get that first down, but he read his blocks well and got the first down. So that's going to be a play that's going to be missed. You can't run that with Derrick Henry, but you can, if he comes back healthy off that ankle injury, hopefully it's not too bad, but he's in a walking boot, so I'm taking it for granted. He's going to miss at least 2 to 3 games. Yeah. So and that's going to hurt the receiving core. That's really going to hurt, because he does have a little bit more speed than the average. So they're going to, Josh Gordon's got to come into play, and he's got to come in to play hard.
Yeah, and to your point, like you said, G, I believe they got to get Kyle Phillips on the field. Maybe he just wasn't healthy enough to play more today. But this is the type of game they needed him to get somebody open across the middle. Heck, Austin Hooper needed to be more involved in the passing game today. Somebody that can get open across the middle. I mean, even Chig, even though Chig had some catch, even look on the touchdown catch, Chig came across the middle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Tannehill fits it right in between 2 defenders. And, so you got to use those guys. We've been saying that a lot on this show, that you've got to know your skill set of your position players and put them in those positions to have them to win. And it's amazing to me how we don't do that at all. 28 total yards in the second half for the offense, man, which is unheard of, and still was able to come out and win because the defense made some plays. So
it makes you wonder how much does Tim Kelly really have as far as play design, because he was brought in as the passing game coordinator, and that's them crossing routes and spreading them out is something he masters, and you haven't seen it. Like, my one frustration I have with the Titans wide receiver / passing game, we don't use the width of the field to our advantage. Right. Our deepest wide receiver is always inside the numbers, where you're allowing the cornerback to, in essence, be in the box. Like, that was the one run play they stopped. They had 8 in the box that you could see. The 9th was the corner, because the wide receiver was not outside the numbers. So, that's where I get back to the passing game coordinator. How much input is he really getting? Because that's where you think. And again, you saw it in preseason and in training camp, but you haven't seen none of it translate to the field yet.
Now, and I think that goes back to something that G. Witt said. Tannehill's got an audible out of that, man. He's got, unless they're not giving him that control, which I doubt that's the case, because he checked to a lot of run plays today. But like you said, if they already got 8 in the box and they bring the corner up on the line of scrimmage, I mean, you got to get out of that, man.
Doing in the second half.
Yeah, you got to get out of that. You got to get out of that. That's exactly, you're right, G. Witt. That's exactly what they're doing. Anytime that receiver came in motion and sat outside that tight end, they brought that corner right up on the line of scrimmage. And so now you got an extra man up there. You got 7 against 9 in the box. Those numbers don't work out.
and one more thing I'm gonna say real quick. I I'm mad not only at the coaches, but I'm mad at some of the veteran players.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they should have ran that last play with Treylon Burks with his ankle being like it was. The vets on the team should have told him,
go down.
Go down.
Yes,
that's right. Go down.
Take the knee.
Take the knee.
Tannehill should have done that, man.
That's a free timeout.
Yeah, that's a free timeout. Take the knee.
So, I was upset about that because I was like, I understand Treylon Burks wanted to be in there. I get that.
He couldn't run.
Dude, he couldn't run.
Yeah.
Take the knee. Take the knee. So now you got to go off the field. Now, granted, he didn't do any more damage to it, other than once he got on the sideline, he knew he was done. But dude, you take the knee.
Right.
You take the knee and take the timeout. And as much as I want to fault Treylon Burks for not doing it, I fault the veterans for not making it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a critical third down too.
That was a critical.
Sure was.
Yeah, and for them not to be able to convert it, and had it. So
Shalera called it right. You playing 10 against 11 on that play.
Yeah,
that's
right.
He couldn't
do anything.
He couldn't. He hopped out there.
He hopped.
And so 365 total yards for the Colts, 243 for the Titans. Of course, that majority of that was passing, 327. Again, can't talk enough about the run defense today. 38 yards rushing, 42 overall for Jonathan Taylor on 20 carries, a little bit over 2 yards a pop, man. 1,800-yard rusher from last year. And like you said, gentlemen, that's all the Titans heard about this week. Jonathan Taylor, he's the best back. He's number one. And I think they took it personal. And you saw the results today. And we got to come out, man. We got to come out and we got to figure out the second half. And like Jay Lou, like you said earlier before we came on, it might be a mental thing now with this team.
Yeah. Like I'm to the point now where it's because they like you said, they're hearing about it. So the offense just keeps hearing that they can't do nothing, 3 and out doing this in the second half. And I think it's more mental than anything because there's just no way. The halftime's only 12 minutes long, 10, 12 minutes long. Mm-hmm. What are you doing in them 12 minutes that you forget how to play football and again, it's not halftime.
No.
If you go back, it's starting at the 2-minute warning with us.
Yeah. That's right.
We are having some poor 2-minute execution. Tannehill, for the life of me, I don't know what Burks didn't get out of bounds. And then Tannehill, you don't have a timeout left. You run in the middle of the field and you don't even have time to get the clown show of a kicking team out there because you just ain't going to make it.
Core 11.
Here's the thing about it. And again, that just shows his lack of football IQ. Throw the ball away.
Yes.
Right. Throw the ball away. Because the bottom line is, if you don't get it, you're screwed. So you might as well take your chance on a long field goal. You got a kicker that's got a good leg.
Right.
So again, overall, I thought he played good, but there were some flaws in his game in this one.
It was. You're right. Sense. I 100% agree with you. And that goes back to what Nathan Moat said. That clock management was it was ugly in the first half. I mean,
that's if you think about the time that Vrabel's been here, that's one of his keys that he hasn't been terrible when it comes to clock management, the little nuances of the game like that. And the first month, his preseason, let's hope he's got all that out of his system now. We see something different from week 5 because that's uncharacteristic of Vrabel in himself.
Right, I agree, Nathan. He could just kick the field goal before that play.
Yes.
Knowing that you already took your last time out, just go ahead and kick the field goal.
And knowing that you a team that, like the Aaron Rodgers, they take a shot right there because they're throwing it to the end zone. You know you a team that's not throwing it to the end zone on that play, so you should have just took the 3.
Yeah. Oh, my thing is, even if you're going to run the play, you got to go to the end zone.
Yeah.
Throw it to the end. You either throw it to if somebody's opening the end zone or you're throwing it out of the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just that simple. But you don't run the ball. That's a rookie mistake.
He's got to get rid of it.
Don't run the ball.
Here's something else, fellas, that we got to clean up is penalties. I mean, we're getting too many penalties. I mean, it's
especially in the second half.
Yeah, Vrabel has, that's one of the things, he preaches and he teaches. And this team in the last few years has been one of the lowest penalized teams. But man, these last 2 or 3 weeks, we've getting about 6 or 7 for about 40 to 50 yards. And we got another 6 today for 40 yards. And so, I mean, really big penalties. Like you said, G, in the second half and these critical moments when, a drive could be extended for the offense when they're already struggling to put points on the board in the second half. I mean, and then here we go, 3rd and long behind the sticks, knowing like you said, G, where they going to take away the middle of the field and force Tannehill to throw outside, which, as we saw today, he almost had some picks. I mean,
And that's the thing about it too. When you look at it, and the one thing I will say, and you know, my thought process on this, you know, one of the things about these penalties is just showing the youth of our team.
Yeah.
It really is showing the youth of our team, because we talked about it, you know, when J. Rob has completely flipped the offense, and you know, we're fairly young on the offensive side of the ball, and we're young on the defensive side of the ball. So you see some of that youth coming to the forefront. But again, if we can get that win next week, if we can beat the Commanders next week, then and go into the bye week, I think we'll probably see some improvement. At least I hope, especially out of the receiving core and out of the DBs.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the reps for Farley, he's gonna get better. I still believe in him. I still believe in him. Again, like we said last week, you've got to think about this for a second. He hadn't played meaningful snaps. I mean, it's been a long time. A guy that was a wide receiver in college at first and transitioned over to DB. And so, not making excuses for him, but I just think the reps, like you said, G-Week, about week 7, week 8, man, possibly week 9, I think you see Farley catching the groove, him and Weaver. You know, like we said earlier, this is just like their rookie campaign over again with this rookie class. Yeah. And these guys are just, you know, they just trying to get in the flow, learning how a full season goes. They were both injured, cut short last season. And, you know, it's just going to take some time. The same with the offensive line. But MPF, he's just another story. You know, you got those guys that can kind of go ahead and catch on a little bit quicker. I think the offensive line, in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to pick up. I know you got to, you know, be able to pick up blitz reads and twists and stunts, but DBs, they got to know coverage. They got to communicate. They got to do a lot of stuff, right? So
but I think really when you watch MPF, you see his mistakes. I mean, you know, you see his mistakes. You know, one play, I think he missed on a run play. He let the guy go inside.
Twist.
Twist. And instead of staying inside, he went with the outside guy. But again, those are things you learn. He's learning on the fly. So, you know, the thing you like about him, he's not doubling up on those mistakes.
Right.
That's what you like seeing.
That's right.
You know, and the thing about it is, like I said, with the other rookies, man, like I said, Treylon Burks, I thought he was playing a good game. Hate to see him go down, but you got to see Kyle Phillips come up, and he's got to step up. And Roger McCreary, you can't say enough about him. Man. And the one thing I will give Farley credit for, he's a good tackler.
Yes.
Yeah, and Will brings up the long pass that he gave up when Matt Ryan was in trouble. He just didn't see the ball, man. He's got to be able to see the ball. He got to turn back.
Talk about the underthrow.
When Matt Ryan was under duress.
If that's, and this is just me hating the stadium. If that's grass, I think he's okay.
Yeah, I mean he did slip
because he slipped coming back, and I hate that rubber turf. Yeah. But you're glad to see that. We've seen in the past the Titans give up their long play and to be a touchdown because of how they missed a tackle. I'm gonna say to G was point about the tackling. So you're glad to see him be able to tackle. And again, tackle. you just got to keep giving him more. I mean, I think when you look at the rep count today, him and Mitchell was split right down the middle. Right. It's part of Vrabel is I don't know if he was in the doghouse after the Buffalo game or not. But, you know, who knows what that does to his confidence. But, I mean, Stephon Diggs makes a lot of people look silly in the league. Let's just be honest. But I agree with you. I think the more playing time he gets, I also think having Molden back will help him in turn, too. I just think it's something unique about those 4 young guys that could push each other to even make him better. But his speed alone needs him out on the field.
Butchie Praise, I appreciate the comment, man. He said, no team has really separated themselves in the AFC. What's our ceiling? So let me answer this and I'll let y'all take a stab. So in my mind, guys, if the Titans play 2 halves like they've played the last few weeks, I don't think there's anybody they can't beat. I don't. When they are hitting on all cylinders, offensively and defensively, like they've done the last 2 games, even minus the Buffalo game. When they're hitting on all cylinders like that, I just don't think there's anybody in the AFC that they can't beat. I just don't. So if they can put 2 halves together, I think we'll be right there again in the mix for to make a run. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my take. What y'all think, fellas?
No, I would agree. I think of course, health plays a big part with every team. That's every team in the league.
Mhm.
But there's some teams that can overcome health in certain positions. We've got to be, we've got to be able to manufacture a pass rush because we have a dominant player on the defensive line in Big Jeff, but 3-on-5 with nobody getting the pass rush on one-on-ones. And I think that's the biggest thing we're not seeing is the rest of the D-line win their one-on-ones. So I think if we can stay healthy at that D-line spot and generate the pass rush, because again, we don't want to blitz. And he did a lot more blitzing today. But we're not a team that likes to blitz. We want to use the 4 and drop back 7. But I agree. The first half, if we can get Derrick Henry going downhill like he has been, which opens up play action, which is the best thing that Tannehill does, I would agree that we can match up with any team in the league. Take the Bills game out because I mean everybody has a dud, and that was our dud. You take that out, and you're a field goal away from possibly being 3-1. So, and that's not playing. You have yet to put together 4 quarters of football. It's funny. We talked about all last year that we started off slow. They scored a touchdown on the opening drive every game.
Every game.
But then we halftime. We say, okay, the game's over. So you're hoping as the calendar turns. But I would say you're not far with that premises, Ed.
No, I would agree with you, and I think the thing about it is what you see, in all honesty, is that when the offense is clicking, the thing that helps them out more than anything else, if you notice, the defense goes in and they just play lights out and shut things down. The funny thing about this second half team that I've noticed for the past 2 weeks, they may give up points, but it's a long, drawn out drive. And usually, and it's funny. I mean, I'm looking at it and I saw it today. I'm like, that first drive the Colts had in the third quarter took up like
the whole quarter. Minutes. Yeah, if it's the whole quarter.
We only had the ball twice in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I'm looking at that and I'm like, if our offense could just put together minimal drives.
Yes.
Right. Minimal drives. With the lead you generate in the first half, you can put together just like this. It doesn't make sense that you got an offense that cannot put together a drive in the second half. They can't put together a drive. That's the thing that's the thing that's making me. I can understand if you put together a drive and you don't score.
Yeah, they can't put together a drive.
They can't put together a drive. And that thing just it just makes me nuts. But if they could start doing that with the leads they keep building up in the first half, if they could do that, then you're giving your defense time to rest. You're giving your defense time to figure out the opponent's offense of what changes they made. Because the one thing that the Colts did today that they really abused the Titans on was the double tight end going out on pass routes.
Yes.
They had one tight end covered, but the other tight end was running free. So, it's just, and I was like, they can't cover both tight ends. And that's a problem. But see, if you get time on the sideline, your offense drives, you got a little time to try to figure that out.
Right.
But when your offense is going 3 and out, it's the same thing we did to the Colts in the first half. We were putting them 3 and out. They were having to come. They couldn't figure out what we were doing.
Right.
They couldn't figure it out at all. So they have got to get past this and start putting together a full 60 minutes worth of football.
I don't know what it's going to take for them to get to that point, but it's something's got to click sooner or later. You would think, fellas, right? I mean, something's got to click. 16 first downs in the first half, 3 total in the second half. One of them was by penalty. We was kind of laughing about that before the show. And so, I mean, again, we got to hope and see that the Tim Kelly effect bleeds over into the second half, if you will. And so just looking at the AFC South, fellas, I mean, all of that said, we are tied for first in the AFC South. How bad that is as far as our second half with Jacksonville.
With them Jags.
Tied at 2-2. Colts dropped to 1-2-1, and the Texans are 0-1-3. And so as we go into the Commanders game, they got Carson Wentz, very familiar quarterback that we've played. We know that Carson Wentz can beat you, and he can get you beat 99.3% of the time. So they come off another loss, 3 straight losses for them, 1-3. It's a road game. And I hate to say this, J. Lou, because we said it before we came on, and G, which you know what I'm gonna say. This is one of those games that Vrabel will be like, we gonna lick our wounds and get people hit up for the bye week, and we'll see you later. And they might drop this. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this game. I wouldn't be surprised because it's not an AFC South game. It's almost like that Saints game when Derrick Henry had his hamstring issue in 19, and he sat him because it didn't really make a difference. But who knows? I might be shocked. So,
the only thing you got to look at from this standpoint, it really, is the fact that you're in the tie for the division lead with Jacksonville, and you still got to play them twice. You got to be coming back against the Colts, and you still got to play Houston twice.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't, and at this stage of the game, even though it's early, and we know Vrabel plays the long game when it comes to the NFL season. He plays the long game.
Yep.
So when you got to buy this early, you really, really want to go in with the win. Now, he's going to rest some players. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, he's going to rest some. Like Bud Dupree won't play at all. And we already know Treylon Burks won't be playing. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. But I look at it from this standpoint. I think he's going to go in there pushing to win. I think they're going to try to run the ball down the throat if they can, to take the ball out of Tannehill and not have to worry about that passing game. But it's going to be hard because Washington's defense is really not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not.
They're not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they play against them. But I think he won't. I think he definitely is going to push for the win. But you're going to definitely see some people not playing this week at all.
Yeah, and they got some weapons, J. Lou. Carson Wentz is throwing for 257 a game. Antonio Gibson is a solid running back. He's got 173 yards on the season. Not counting what he did today. J.D. McKissick, good receiving back. Terry McLaurin, I'm sorry, that name was familiar to us because he's got the same agent as A.J. Brown and all that stuff that went on. Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. So they got some weapons. Yeah. They got some weapons, and that defense is stout up front. Chase Young and Montez Sweat.
There's Chase Young ain't playing, I don't think.
No, he's hurt. And so Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. So they got some guys up front that can cause some problems if we let them. This is one of those games, J. Lou, man, we got to go out, like you said, run the ball down their throat, jump on them early, and put together two halves of football.
This is a game you jump on them early and you make Carson Wentz turn into the Carson Wentz effect. Because if he gets behind and has to start throwing it, we know what Carson Wentz can do. This is a game that scares me, though. Again, out of all the people that's been hurt and rested up, I really hope that oh my God, the safety, our safety Hooker. I really hope that was a mild concussion because you need him back. Him and Byard have something special that make that DB, like, I just feel like it even looks better with them two out there. And Scary Terry has a chance to go off. Because I think he was quiet today. I mean, he went against Diggs today with the Cowboys and they kind of shut him down. But the Washington, again, I think they beat the Jaguars the first week, if I'm not mistaken, and then have lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that they have a good team that you don't want. This doesn't need to be a 1-score 3-point lead, 4-point lead going into the fourth quarter because you'll make something will get you beat. I think Washington's to the point, and you saw Dallas almost had that issue today. And again, they playing with a backup, but I feel like if you can get on them and get them behind and again, force Carson Wentz to do things that he's uncomfortable with, you've got a real good shot. But again, our offensive line is going to be tested because I think they're going to play some better DNs this upcoming, even with Chase Young not being there. They still have a stout front seven, definitely stout defense. So get there here and run the ball, get up there, get out, stay healthy, and come back with the win. Again, I like that, G. When it's early, you do want to try to take the momentum, especially when you know what you got on the back half. I mean, I believe our next 3 are Washington, Indy, and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So no win is a guarantee in the NFL.
Never.
But I think when you look at what's remaining on the schedule, that might be the lightest 3 that you got when you look at from a competition standpoint. And again, 2 division games in there is going to be tough anyway, but that's not a murderous row like, Kansas City, Cincy, and all them. So I think you start with that, get that win on the road, and just keep that train rolling. Again, like we said last week, it's always better to make adjustments after a win. No matter how ugly it was today, no matter how terrible we are in the second half, it's easier tomorrow looking at film because you know you got that win in the column.
Right. And what I hope is that they see that they are leaving so many points on the field in the second half. So many points. This is week after week after week. Like I said, minus the Buffalo game, there's so many points left out there on the field in the second half. You know, and Washington's got a top 15 run defense, giving up 112 yards a game. So it's gonna be tough. It's nothing like you said, there's no easy wins in the NFL.
No.
And they're gonna have to come out and play early. A road game. The Commanders have nothing to lose. They're 1-3. They're trying to get back in the mix for their division. And so they're gonna come out and they're gonna punch back.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be that's a rowdy crowd. They always are in Washington. So
and remember, it's a Ron Rivera team, so the defense is always going to be stout.
Always going to be stout.
The defense is always going to be stout. So we have to come out and play some good football. I would say, play our best football and try to, like you said, J. Luke, jump on them early and then try to get this second half figured out. You know, if you can get that second half figured out where you can finally start putting together some drives. I mean, think about it. If you score just again against the Giants and against the Raiders, if you just put together one drive and kick a field goal,
you win the game. It's easy. It don't come down to the end. Yep,
it's easy. But you can't put together a drive. That's the thing. That's the thing that's upsetting me. You cannot put together a drive.
And that is amazing.
Give up a big sack, or you're going to do some stupid penalties. You know, one of the two. You're going to do one of those two things. And for some reason, it's like in the second half, the brain just goes out. I don't, the football IQ just goes out. I don't understand it.
They get predictable. Run, pass. Run, pass.
I mean, everybody knows, like I said, everybody knows on that first drive in the third quarter, they're giving the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Every time.
Prime time play action.
And you know what side is going to based off the motion.
Yep.
Because we don't believe in counter to go the opposite way.
Right.
Although, you're right. Because that first drive they did in the third quarter, the motion did.
It's every time. It's every same formation every time. The receiver comes in motion, he stops right behind the tight end.
Yep.
Dive play.
Going that way.
Right. And that's where we're going.
If we seeing it at home, then surely.
Oh, they see it. They already know. That's the thing. That's the thing these teams are doing when they go into halftime. If you see that whoever goes in motion, that's where Derrick Henry is going to run the ball. Mm-hmm. First down in the third quarter on the first play from the Titans, they're running the ball either to the left or to the right. Just depends on where the motion goes. So they ain't fooling nobody.
Deion said something earlier, which is pretty interesting. Didn't think about it, but he's right. Racing McMath will be back. And so you hope he could take the top off the defense. We'll see. He was playing good in camp. He had a good preseason. He was showing some flash.
Yeah, he should be back
I forgot about him.
He'll be back at the Colts game. And none of these guys coming off IR, unless something changes, I don't think we see any of them Sunday. I think they all buy a game until the Colts game.
I think you see Monty Rice against the Colts.
Yep.
So starting to get some people healthy. And we'll see what happens, but we got a lot of football left, gentlemen. A lot of football left, and so and especially somebody and Deion's like she's trying to get a new stadium, and she can't put that stuff out on the field. That crap, and get a new stadium and think this town gonna support right. And Nathan, I'm with you, man. Just like they okay with the points they did in the first half, and that's it. They're not putting it. That's all they putting on the board. That's crazy. Just think about how many points this team can average. I mean, really. But to your point, G, all they got to do is put together one drive and get another score. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just fun how football works in momentum. Right before the half, I was like, man, the Colts got the momentum.
Yep.
Yes.
I was like, the Colts got the momentum. And then what we do, come out, go 3 and out, and here they come. I was I felt it. I was like, here come the momentum swing is right there. They scored that touchdown, and then we go and had a mishap on the clock management. 3 and out, second half. I was like, uh-oh.
Second half, 3 and out. Then they come down, they score, and then we get the ball back. We don't do nothing. We punt. Thank God we got a weapon in our punter. And then, they're driving the ball on us. And then your boy, is that when your boy fumbles, or is that when he missed the field goal or whatever? I can't remember. You know,
I think that was a fumble because
That was a fumble.
That missed field goal.
That was after the sack. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was. Oh, he shanked that bad.
He shanked that one bad. So, you know, that's what you're talking about. The defense they played lights out. And again, with the exception of that one long drive. Well, actually, the 2 long drives. They caused a fumble on the second one. But they played lights out, man. I'll be honest with you. I was scared about it. I thought for sure Indy was going to be tying the game up.
Yeah, and again, I'll give him credit on that, just like that, G-Wick, because to Ed's point, momentum is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it has swung in the Colts' way after they went up 17. I mean, they scored 17. We go another 3 and out. You were glad to see the defense settle down. I thought that was something that was missing against the Raiders a little bit last week. They let them keep creeping back in, but they settled down and made plays when they needed to make them. Because again, nothing's bigger than that third and one that long drive. Because that would have been the dagger. They get a first down on that and keep going. But that's just a big play. Causing
that fumble was huge, and then you hold them to that field goal on the next one. So. You know, those, and once they missed that field goal, you felt the wind go out the stadium then.
Oh yeah. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah, Nathan.
You gotta have your offense. The offense has got to figure something out, man. And they know it. I know Vrabel's as quiet as kept. I know he's banging his head up against the wall when he goes in his office because he's like, what the heck do we have to do?
Yeah.
That's 3 out of 4 games. It's 3 out of 4 games that we've seen it. Now, like I said, mine is Buffalo because Buffalo just got out of hand. That was just a dud.
That third
quarter was just a dud. We'll scratch it up to a dud. Not ready to play. But that's week 2 of the preseason. They want
that was week 2. Yeah, that was week 2 of the preseason.
So, told y'all, man. Hey, we said it. Once again, about week 4, Derrick Henry gonna be running like a train, and now you see it. You see guys are in better shape now. Seriously, and that's so sad that 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row that we see it happen. So, but Nathan says Stonehouse is second half MVP, man. I agree.
Easily.
Oh, absolutely.
Easily.
Like you said, when you hear the commentators talk about how good he's putting,
man,
because Marshall Love like, man, what a weapon.
Yes.
What a weapon. What a find by the scouting department.
He said that was a 56-yard punch, man.
Right. So thank y'all again for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie out there, G with J. Lou. Titans win today. 24-17. AFC South victory. Tied for first in the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That sounds kind of funny. But hey, the Jags are serious this year. They blew a lead against the Eagles and got beat today 29-21. So we'll see them down the road. But hey, Commanders on the road next week. Carson Wentz, Antonio Gibson, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron is what they call him.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So, they're going to be ready to go. But join us, man. Next weekend we'll be live. Hey, pay attention because we might start broadcasting from YouTube. So keep a lookout for that, man. We're going to send the link out so y'all will join us. Looking to grow the show even more. We got people wanting to follow us on YouTube as well. So we're trying to do best of both worlds. Not saying we're going to leave our Facebook family because we appreciate y'all. But we just want to expand the show a little bit more and get more folks involved. But hey, be looking out for that information real soon. But again, we thank y'all for joining us tonight for Halftime Adjustments. Eddie on there, G with J. Lou.
Yes, sir.
We out here, man. Peace.
Peace.